the Director General for Industry, Entrepreneurship and of Economy, Tourism and Sport of the Republic of Slovenia. Dear Ambassador Matej Kračun, Ambassador Designate of Slovenia in Brazil. Dear Professor Zlatko Šabik, Advisor to the President for International Relations. Dear Mr. Štefana Barenboim Šaleja, we call him Salej in Brazil, we pronounce it entirely different. The President Emeritus of SLOBRAZ. Dear Matthias Kokon, President of SLOBRAZ, probably online. Dear Rok Kapul, Acting Director of Spirit Slovenia. The Ambassador Alias Groznar, co-founder and member of the board of Slovenian Global Business Network. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be joined later on by Mr. Slobodan Šešun, Director General for Economic and Public Diplomacy at the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs, and also by Ambassador Goras Rachel. Is there? Wow, it's 5 o'clock in the morning in Brasilia. So I thought he would be joining us later on. And I avail the opportunity to congratulate all the Slovenian diplomats for the brilliant and very successful campaign for the UN Security Council. The election happened yesterday, and Slovenia was elected. It was a very well-run campaign, and I really congratulate you on that. And I would also like to express my gratitude to our partner organizations who are supporting this event in collaboration with the Brazilian Embassy in Ljubljani, the Ministry of Economy, Tourism and Sport of Slovenia, Slovenia Brazil Chamber of Commerce, SLOBRAZ, Slovenian Global Business Network, Spirit Slovenian, and Apex Brazil. This will be a business conversation, let's say. We'll start with our special guest, Mr. Jerneja Salecla, if I do pronounce correctly. And then I will be talking a little bit about our bilateral trade. I think I will probably surprise you with some figures. But please.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, all ambassadors, dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be here on behalf of the Ministry of Economic, Tourism and Sports, especially on behalf of our State Secretary responsible for internationalization, Mr. Mateusz Frangeș, and welcome everybody here in Ljubljana, and most of all, I would like to congratulate to the organizer and all the partners for the, I think already now we can say it's a very good event. The turnout of people here and online is far beyond what I expected, which means we have a bright future between our two countries in collaborating in future, and that makes me confident that we can achieve much more than what we did so far. I won't bother you with numbers. As I said, the numbers will be explained and in details later on, all the bilateral trade and export and import. But what I can say that I see much room for improvement in these figures. They are at the moment relatively small, but the potential is enormous, similar to how enormous Brazil is as a country. I think it's I looked it up very briefly on my way here. I think it's 400 times bigger than Slovenia and has 100 times more inhabitants than Slovenia, which is amazing. It's hard for us to imagine here in Slovenia how huge that country is. I was there for my honeymoon. I think it was 12 years ago. It's a beautiful country, wonderful people, excellent food. I still cook Brazilian food now at home. I was really impressed, and I'm impressed with how our collaboration can expand in future. And in this comparison, Slovenia to Brazil, Slovenia being very, very small, very tiny, and Brazil being huge, very big, one cannot help himself to wonder, where can we be a good partner? Well, I have one message here today, especially for our Brazilian friends, for the future. Slovenia really is a land of champions. You can see now the sports join the Ministry for Economy as well. We have many, many champions in sports. We have world champions in almost all the sports available. We are stubborn, we work hard. When we set our goals, we work very hard to achieve them. And the parallel that I can put between sports and business is that it's very similar. We are like that as a nation. It's not solely like that in sports, it's also in business. When we set our goals, when we said that we want to achieve something, we do it, and we really try to excel. And also on the scientific level, on the research and development. And this is what encourages me, because I know we have many possibilities on cooperation, whether it is high-tech, automotive industry, space sector, pharmaceuticals. We are really a good and reliable partner. The sectors I just mentioned are the sectors that are also gaining more and more investments here in Slovenia worldwide. And I think this is something to consider also for the Brazilian partners to consider investing here in Slovenia, especially because of the knowledge and the hardworking people. And vice versa, also for our companies, I encourage them to think about investing in Brazil. We will hear today about one good story, example of good showcase of Slovenian investment in Slovenia, Slovenian investment in Brazil. And I think these are the good common ground to start from and to excel in the future as well. Once again, thank you and congratulations for the good show up of participants here. I wish you a very good work. And just to let you know, we are here for you. Our agency spirit is your first point to turn to, and doors of the ministry is also always open for everybody. So thank you once again. I wish you good work, and this is it for my opening remarks.
Okay, then now I will talk about a little bit about our trade relations, but I would like to explain that there are discrepancies between the figures published by the Statistical Office of Slovenia and the Ministry of Economy in Brazil. I will let's say, talk about our figures and not say your figures, especially regarding Brazilian exports to Slovenia. The Slovenian data calculations are based on the so-called national concept values. Please, Director of Nova Universa. I was pleased to be last week attending a wonderful seminar on the future of European Union, really very good. I hope you invite me for the other ones that you be organizing there. But then going back, the way the Slovenian records the trade figures is based on what we call the national concept, in where goods were actually the goods that were actually imported and stayed in Slovenia are registered. The community concept are values that adds to the goods that stayed in Slovenia, also the goods in transit in Slovenia meant for a different final destination. The Brazilian Ministry of Economic Calculations are, of course, more related to this last concept. Meaning, if we from Brazil export something to, let's say, commission it to someone in copper, and look up copper, and this goods then will be re-exported elsewhere. But this is not transparent for our ministries in Brasilia. We register it as an export to Slovenia. And of course, on your side, you only register those goods that stay here, not the ones that are exported. And this is amazing because it's really double the figures. Our volume of trade to Slovenia is really, if looking with our Brazilian eyes, with our numbers, we exported to Slovenia last year $516 million. That is the double of what you get if you add Brazilian exports to Austria, Brazilian exports to Hungary, and Brazilian exporters to Croatia. If you add those three figures and multiply by 2, then you get what we exported to Slovenia. So the idea that Slovenia is a small country, I don't necessarily agree with that. It's not about the size of the, let's say, physical dimensions. What we have to bear in mind is the size of the footprint that the country leaves on the international level. We, on the other hand, we imported from Slovenia $110 million. And that is also very sizable. And I will explain to you why I think it is sizable. We exported to more goods to Slovenia than to other traditional markets, such as Denmark. For instance, we exported $478 million for Denmark. Greece, $351 million. And Austria. Austria, we have relations with Austria since the beginning of the Brazilian states. When we got our independence, the first Brazilian monarch was married to a Habsburg princess. And the second monarch was her son, so he was also an Habsburg. So we have relations with Austria for over 200 years. And Slovenia imported 5 times what Austria imported. Almost 5 times that we exported 110 million to Austria. Hungary, for instance, imported just 50 million. Serbia, 56 million. If you look Slovenia to Brazil. Again, there's always some differences in methodology of accounting. So, what your figures, our imports from you are $82 million, but that's more than Slovenia exported to South Africa. Much more than Slovenia exported to Argentina, for instance, just 17 million. Although you have a sizable community of people from Slovenian descent in Argentina. And we imported from you just 4 times less what you exported to China, which is, let's say, a big country with an enormous population, some 6 times the Brazilian population. And we didn't fare badly if you take this comparison. And considering that's not a metric that normally people do, but I try to figure what are the exports, Brazilian exports to Slovenia in terms of, or rather, what are the per capita imports from Slovenia from Brazil? So how much every Slovenian buys from Brazil every year? That's not a metric that normally people use, but it's interesting if you look at it. Every Slovenian inhabitant buys $248 from Brazil using our figures, okay? That's much ahead of those major trading partners of Brazil. For instance, Spain, every exports $208 to Brazil. Each Bolivian, 157. We imported a lot of gas from Bolivia. Canada, 143. The US, 113. Italy, 81. China, 62. South Africa, 29. Russia, 13. And India, just 5. And don't forget, every Slovenia, every one of you exports $248 to Brazil. That is a lot. Oh, sorry, imports. So that's a lot. Consumes the Brazilian products. And if we do the same kind of analysis, every Slovenian sells to Brazil, exports to Brazil, $53. This is significant because every Chinese exports just 42. Every British 41. Serbians 10. Indians 6. And Croatia, your neighbor, 5. So every Slovenian exports to Brazil 10 times more than each Croatian. So what I mean is that we are really good trade partners. Slovenia to Brazil and Brazil to Slovenia. Without, let's say, people normally not having this in mind, that the amount of sales from one country to the other they are sizable, are very important in relative terms. $600 million of trade is not something that you will say it's a normal thing. It's not. It's a sizable thing. And we can enhance this, we can do more, we can use copper as a kind of a platform to bring products from Brazil and re-export to Central Europe. And this means business for you. This means economic activity in the country. And I think this is one thing that you have to bear in mind. Copper is a wonderful asset for this country. And the whole of the logistics industry that can derive from that. Even if we take only the Slovenian figures, you still import more from Brazil than do Austria, Hungary, and Croatia altogether. The thing is that we account as Slovenian imports, you then re-export to all those countries. And but even though you don't fare badly if you compare with all the others, even if you take into account what you re-export to them. So this is my take-out message. We are really great trade partners. We can do more, but we are already really very good trade partners. And I hope that this business forum, let's say, will enhance that. Thank you very much. Now we'll follow by Štefana Šaleja, President Emeritus of SLOBRAZ, will share with us some thoughts. He's an enormous figure in the business community in Brazil. Everybody calls him Salej instead of Šalej. He is very, very, very well known. First time I heard of him, that would be at least 40 years ago. He was president of the Federation of Industries in Minas Gerais. And such a dynamic guy, a powerhouse. He's a business motor. It's incredible. And I'm glad that he will be able to share with us some of his thoughts on our relations. Please.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, His Excellency, Ambassador Prisco, Excellencies Ambassador Ranchel, who is just concluding his mission in Brazil. And I have a pleasure to congratulate him for an excellent job. And I'm sure that the young diplomat, Mrs. Krachun, should belong to the I'm very proud of this young generation of Slovenian diplomats that will continue this excellent job. And Mr. Salecla from the Ministry of Economy and Technology and Sport, who is the guy who is promoting the new kind of industrialization in Slovenia and only in the European Union, so very important job for all of us. I'm a founding member of SLOBRAZ. We found this with Mr. Hlebanja and Mr. Janez Hlebanja, who was well known in Brazil by his trademark. Janez was one of the most distinguished brands in Brazil at that time, and Vladimir Rose, who's distinguished also industrial. We found this, and this Chamber of Commerce nowadays is still very, very active. And 3 years ago, we founded Slovenian Global Business, and Mr. Ambassador, I'm very happy that we have members here from the United States, the President of Slovenian American Business Association from Cleveland, Mr. Jurček, Žmavc, we have also the participants from Colombia and another countries. So we are working in nowadays Slovenia Global Business Network is the association networking about 30 Slovenian global business association around the world. This is a hub to do business around the world. So another small, if you allow me, Mr. Ambassador, to mention, I'm very happy to meet the Secretary of Embassy, Jean Bayon, because he was a student of what we call it, Škola Sebraj, which is a school-based, commercial school, based on the dvojezična trgovska akademija v Celovcu, the Slovenian school over there. So I'm happy to meet you. But just to have the idea what important this is, in the state of Minas Gerais, in the last, which is 35 million inhabitants, only 3 persons in the last 10 years passed the exam. This is like Chinese exam for the Itamaraty, 5,000, 6,000 candidates, and Mr. Jean Bayon passed this exam. And so this most the high quality of the transfer of technology in this school that we transfer, which graduated over to 12,000 people nowadays. So I will continue in Slovenia. I ask Mr. Ambassador permission because many, many years ago in the former Yugoslavia, I tried to speak in some meeting in Belgrade in Slovenia. And they recommend me that this was not the language that is used in Belgrade, that I insist, and later on I speak in English, but the result was they put in my characteristic at the police that I'm democratically oriented separatist, and I say nothing else. When the Slovenia become independent country, for this reason I have very nice fiša, limpa, that with this characteristic. So I will speak in Slovenian, but my talking points will be available later on in English. Vsaka nova vlada, ki pride, cilj mojega razlaganja je pravzaprav, kaj se danes za novo vlado v Braziliji dogaja. Mi imamo 6 mesecev praktično novo vlado. Kaj je z novo vlado, kaj ta vlada pomeni? Prva stvar, ki mislim, je mi kot gospodarstveniki se moramo zavedati, da vsaka vlada je nova metla in politiko je treba gledati kot vreme. Enkrat je oblačno, enkrat sončno, enkrat sprejemljivo. V politiki, jaz imam graduate studies v political science, lahko to malo bolj akademsko tudi povem, ni nič stalnega, je vedno sprejemljivo. In ti kot gospodarstvenik moraš biti pripravljen predvsem na te spremembe. V nekaterih državah so te spremembe hitrejše in večje, v drugih državah pa manjše, pa bolj počasnejše. Brazilija spada v prvo vrsto. Je dinamično, politično gospodarstvo, ki se spremembe dogajajo skoraj na dnevnem redu. In je zato za vsakega, ki dela v Braziliji, zelo priporočljivo, da čim manj gleda televizijo, čim manj bere časopise in se čim več posveti svojemu poslu in svojim poslovnim strategijam. Kaj je sedanja vlada je prevzela svoje funkcije v težkih političnih razmerah? Mislim, mi 4 leta smo imeli v Braziliji in vlado demokratično izvoljen, ki je tudi nastopala na zadnjih volitvah, vendar za politično težko radikalno politiko, ki smo jo tudi v gospodarstvu vse manj in vse težje razumeli. Tega obdobja je danes konec. Brazilska demokracija se je po zadnjih volitvah spremenila, kar se zelo občuti v samem parlamentu, v kompoziciji samega parlamenta. Mislim, tle, ki imate v Sloveniji, se veliko na to naši, vaši, desni, levi, srednji in tako naprej. V Braziliji je bilo to nekako bolj umirjeno, po zadnjih volitvah je pa to popolnoma jasno. Ti imaš predsednika in njegovo del, ki je zmagal za majhno večino, za 1,5 milijona glasov, ki je tako imenovane levo-sredinski in imaš parlament, ki je srednje desničarski. To se pravi, politični režim v Braziliji je predsedniški, ampak predsednik ne vlada brez parlamenta. To se pravi, da ni koalicijske pogodbe ali v parlamentarnih demokracijah, kot je slovenska recimo, ali pa druge, ampak je eno vladanje med parlamentom in med predsednikom, kar je pomembno, da razumem, zakaj je treba, kako bo ta bodočnost v gospodarstvu, ta uravnovešenost med parlamentom, ki je desničarsko-liberalni, in med predsednikom in njegovo ekipo je levičarsko usmerjena, pa rečemo bolj socialna. Ena stvar, ki je treba tudi razumeti v Braziliji, da ko je ta vlada prevzela, ne samo kaj se je zgodilo 8. januarja, ko so napadli predsedniške palače in to naprej, 30 milijonov prebivalcev živi v popolni revščini. Popolni revščini. Ljudje, ki hodijo po ulicah, ki nimajo kaj jesti. In 70 milijonov v relativni revščini. To se pravi, da ta proces, kako pripeljati to prebivalstvo, da bo preživelo na eni strani in tudi postalo aktivno v gospodarstvo, je eno od vprašanj, ki je ta nova vlada postavila in je to s tem tudi začela, mislim, zelo jasno pokazati, da nova zaposlenost, da kako pripeljati to prebivalstvo, da bo zaposleno in kako jim pomagati, da pride iz revščine in da bo socialni mir, je eden glavnih problemov oziroma glavnih situacij, ki jih Brazilija rešuje. Ta vlada je s tem rešila tako, da se je vrnila na socialno pomoč od 150 do 200 dolarjev na mesec, ki je zanimivo je vezana na to, da dobi to pomoč žena, ne mož, ker je zelo pomembno, ker se razume, da ženske vodijo družine, in da je potem tudi obvezno šolanje. Dobiš to pomoč samo tako in seveda pa v naslednji fazi je treba tudi iskati delovna mesta, zato seveda to zmanjšuje socialne probleme in poveča potrošnjo. To je bila prva akcija, prvo delo nove vlade. Drugo, ker je ta vlada zelo obsedena in politično ima prav, ker je že v bližnji zgodovini se je zgodilo, če že ni te obsedenosti z javnimi financami. Jaz veliko poslušam doktora Davorina Kračuna po televiziji, kako to govori, to so njegov učenc v narekovaju, in on v Braziliji bil zelo poslušan, mimogrede, kontrola javnih financ. Ta vlada bo vse naredila, da bodo javne finance, javna potrošnja pod kontrolo, da ne glede na to, kako se to dogaja na mikroproblemih, rečemo, da poslanci dobijo toliko za to, da glasujejo po zakonu, kako je organizacija, ampak definitivno kontrola in stabilnost javnih financ in nizka inflacija sta, bi rekel, skrb številka 1 ali številka 2 te vlade. Vse bo naredila za to. Tudi če izgubi lahko na naslednjih volitvah. Se ne bo dovolila, da se na eni strani, da inflacija gre gor iznad nekih sprejemljivih meja, recimo tako, kot se dogaja to nažalost v Argentini, ki so izgubila, pa Turčija, ki ima 50% inflacijo tudi, in zato so tudi naredili že novo zakonodajo, in ta nova zakonodaja, ki je zdaj v parlamentu, ki bo določila parametre javnih financ, je del tega novega gospodarske politike. No, inflacija je danes že, bi rekel, življenjski stroški se zmanjšujejo, so pod kontrolo, ampak kot vidim tudi v Sloveniji, vidite, hrana še zmeraj tista, ki rastejo življenjski stroški po celem svetu, ampak inflacija bo letos 5,69%. Druga taka akcija vlade brazilske, ki je zelo zanimiva, je učinkovitost mednarodne prisotnosti ne samo za ciljem povečanja brazilske prisotnosti v svetu politične, kot je recimo zdaj bil sestanek 20 držav Latinske Amerike, pardon, 10 predsednikov držav Latinske Amerike, Južne Amerike v Braziliji, ampak vsa potovanja predsednika Lule ali njegovega najbližjega sodelavca, dveh sodelavcev na zunanjem političnem področju, veleposlanika SLOVENIA, ki je bil v njegovem času, bilo ustanovljeno Veleposlaništvo Brazilije v Sloveniji, ali pa veleposlanika Mauro Vieira, ki je minister za zunanje zadeve, imajo en cilj: povečanje brazilske gospodarske prisotnosti v svetu. Lula s svojim nasmehom hodi po svetu, prodaja v narekovaju brazilske industrijske izdelke, prodaja svoje kmetijske izdelke, se borijo za boljše cene in to. To je zelo jasno, čeprav zgleda na prvi pogled ena taka politična, bi rekel, več kot politična, prisotno tudi sodelovanje z Venezuelo. Venezuela je dolžna Braziliji $1 milijardo in Lula pravi zelo preprosto: zakaj se bom jaz z enim kregal, ki mi je dolžen $1 milijardo, jaz se moram z njim sporazumeti, da mi plača najprej $1 milijardo, pa se bomo kregala naprej. Mislim, zelo preprosto to stvari gledati za naprej. Druga stvar, ki je nezaposlenost, je 8,5%, v aprilu je bilo odprtih 180.000 delovnih mest, družbeni proizvod je na veliko presenečenje vseh analistov v prvem tromesečju zrastel 1,9%, industrija je padla 0,5%, agrobiznis je pa šel 22%. Za 2023 je predviden družbeni proizvod 2 do 3%. To je zdaj zelo pomembno, tudi ko se vrnemo na to, ko bomo prišli še malo naprej, razvoj industrije in razvoj agrobiznisa, kje se ta dva srečujeta. Devizni tečaj, real se giblje okrog 5, gre malo dol, ampak je popolnoma stabilen. Zdaj, do katere mere brazilski izvozniki lahko izvažajo, pa so konkurenčni z realom 4,8, je to drugo vprašanje. Uvozniki za uvoznike je to raj na zemlji, ta tečaj. Za izvoznike je pa drugo vprašanje, ki se to srečuje. Gospod Salecla, to vprašanje devizne tečaje pa konkurenčnost teoretično, praktično dobro pozna, tudi glede na evro, in je to eno vprašanje, ki v Braziliji brez dvoma ga bo treba rešiti. Zdaj pa pridemo pod enega druga problema, ki je visoke obrestne mere. Brazilska centralna banka ima tako imenovano obrestno mero, ki je benchmark 13,50%. Tu se zdaj Lula pa njegova vlada zelo borita, da se to zmanjšuje. Ker ta obrestna mera centralne banke, 13,5, ni 13,5, ko morate, tle imam gospoda Mavriča, imamo mojega sina Bogdana, ki ima tudi tovarno, pa še drugi, ki imate tle, Uroš in ostali, ki imate v praksi, ko greš v banko, je to 22% na leto, 50%, kreditne kartice so 400% na leto in je to skratka groza. Kdo nima lastnega kapitala v Braziliji in je odvisen tudi od bančnih posojil, za velike projekte so bančna posojila in je ogromno sredstev razpoložljivih za investicije, to so tako imenovane investicije, če greste v zvezne države, dobite razne možnosti, da razvijete to naprej, ampak obrestne mere eni ravni, ki jih lahko sprejme tako prebivalstvo, da poveča potrošnjo na eni strani, kot gospodarstvo na drugi strani, je eno največjih problemov, ker tle se gre potem vprašanje obrestna mera versus nasproti vprašanje monetarne stabilnosti. In zato, jaz mislim, v brazilskih ekonomistih, ki jih ni malo, ki so našli tudi svoj sistem, da so pred 30 leti naredili real in stabilno gospodarstvo, z planom real, če se kdo še spominja, je eden teh izzivov, ki jih bomo morali reči. No, za eno stvar, ki je tudi zanimivo, da gledam, trgovinska bilanca v januarja, maj letos je imela 35,6 milijard suficita, izvoz raste. Kaj se pa dogaja z uvozom? Pada. Uvoz je padel v istem obdobju 12%. Na eni strani cene kmetijskih proizvodov, predvsem pa rudarstva, ki jih tudi izvažajo en dobršen del izvoza v Slovenijo, je to, rastejo, po drugi strani pa uvoz pada. Zanimivo je pa tudi to, da tuje investicije v Brazilijo so od marca lanskega leta do marca letos prešle 90 milijard dolarjev. Jaz govorim vse o dolarjih, ker dolar je referenčna deviza za Brazilijo. Devizne rezerve so 374 milijard, zunanji dolg je pa 576 milijard. Zdaj pa še treba nekaj povedati. Brazilski podjetniki pa državljani imajo pa drugih 500 do 600 milijard v privatnih računih po svetu. To velja pravzaprav tudi za Argentino, ko pravi, argentinske devize so v državni blagajni je 12 milijard, argentinski državljani imajo pa po svetu prek 500 milijard. Kaj nova vlada namerava v naslednjih 3 letih navedene, kot se želi, kot stabilna monetarna fiskalna politika in kateri so strateški trendi? Prvo je okolje. Okolje v vseh oblikah. To je velika business opportunity. Slovenija kot taka, recimo tale cirkular, okrožno gospodarstvo, pa to, pa tehnologije, ki jih imajo, tu se bo ne samo na amazonskem področju, ki je en del zgodbe, ampak celotno, to je številka 1. In to ni samo, rekel, stvar vlade. To je danes v celotnem brazilskem gospodarstvu popolnoma jasno, da to gospodarstvo ne bo konkurenčno po svetu, če ne bo uredilo tega vprašanja okolja v vseh oblikah. To se pravi od industrije do servisnih dejavnosti in tako naprej. In tukaj je tudi, mislim, vidim, v Sloveniji se razvija veliko tole, kar bo zelo, kar bo kredit industriji. To so velike možnosti, ki se odpirajo v Braziliji na tem področju. Drugo je agrobiznis. Mi Slovenci podjetje, gospod Uroš, ki nam bo povedal malo več o tem. Tukaj teh tehnologije pa povezave na tem področju. Agrobiznis danes ni samo olja, kjer je super tehnologija na vseh področjih, ampak je tudi celotna veriga, prehrambena veriga, in tukaj so neizmerne možnosti in tukaj kakorkoli bo, poleg tega, kar se bo še zgodilo, tle bojo še največje investicije, tudi zdaj Kitajci že investirajo ogromno na tem področju. Tu se pravi, to je eno področje, ki se lahko še več povežemo. Ne vem, koliko od vas vem, jaz sem tu še v Celju, osnovno šolo, zdaj 15. bomo imeli celo srečanje mojih sošolcev iz 1. razreda, prvo črl požrl, da ne bom povedal, koliko smo se vse učili, in sem hodil tam, me je stara mama vodila kmetijsko šolo v Šentjur, ena najstarejših kmetijskih šol. In enkrat sem tam slišal, Brazilci so naši konkurenti, sovražni. Brazilsko kmetijsko gospodarstvo ni konkurenca, niti sovražnik Sloveniji. Je eden najboljših partnerjev. Imamo veliko tehnologije, ampak po drugi strani je to razvoj, da se lahko še veliko več najdemo in delamo skupaj. Drugo je vprašanje rudarstvo. Rudarstvo tudi z novimi kovinami, kot je litij in tako naprej, se zelo razvija. Četrti trend je oživitev industrije. Kakšno industrijo bo Brazilija imela v bodočnosti? Tle je zdaj vlada začela z programi oživitve avtomobilske industrije, kjer je za slovensko industrijo velike možnosti, zato ker ta oživitev ne bo z električnimi vozili, ampak bo z flex vozili, ki so etanol, pa elektrika in tako naprej, kjer se veliko slovenska industrija proizvaja še avtomobilske dele za to, ampak tukaj, ki je gospod veleposlanik predstavil, ko gre slovenskega izvoza, de facto gre še po mojih računih še z drugih 100 milijonov preko multinacionalk. Ker to, kar Renault izvaža v Brazilijo, ker Mercedes izvaža v Brazilijo, pa to naprej, to ne gre kot slovenski izvoz, ampak gre to kot nemški izvoz ali pa tako naprej. Mislim, to je eno od področji, ki ta poživitev industrije in predvsem male industrije in srednje industrije je ena velikih možnosti, ki se slovenska podjetja s svojo tehnologijo veliko sodelujo. No, druga je vprašanje, naslednje je digitalizacija v vseh in raznih oblikah, to se pravi od telekomunikacij, ki danes prevladujejo samo tuje družbe, do 5G in tako naprej. Ta razvoj gre brez dvoma, bo tudi glede na finančni sistem, ki je zelo stabilen, mimogrede veliko digitalnih bank. Brazilija glede na svojo dimenzijo, geografsko dimenzijo, potrebuje vse več in vse več te digitalizacije. No, potem so še tle infrastrukture, kot sem že omenil, pristanišča, telko. Predzadnje bi rekel, je pa vprašanje zdravstva. Eno, kar je vi jamrate v Sloveniji ves čas, kak je vaš zdravstvo za nič, pa tako naprej, kak se ne, čakalne vrste so. Jaz že ne moram gledati več televizije, ker vsak dan, ko gledam televizijo, sam slišim, kako je zdravstvo za nič, po drugi strani pa grem v bolnice, me pa čisto porajcajo, po domače povedano. Ampak, poleg tega za nič zdravstva v Sloveniji, doktor Dimnik je pa ogromno znanja, strokovnega znanja, ki se lahko naredi in ki se lahko povečuje, ki je Slovenija že poskušala ga plasirati v preteklih letih v Braziliji in to bo eno od področij, kot tudi področje izobraževanja, ki lahko imamo veliko sodelovanja. Jaz bi tudi rekel še to, mi imamo tukaj predstavnika Embraera, ki je od brazilske industrije, mislim, on ne predstavlja Embraer. On predstavlja, kaj je Brazilija sposobna na področju tehnologije. To je več kot ena fabrika avionov. To je več. In zato jaz sem hvaležen gospodu veleposlaniku, da je sprejel naš predlog, da Embraer se tle predstavi, da bomo videli, kaj so Brazilci sposobni na vseh področjih tehnologije. Za konec bi jaz zaključil še tole in tle izkoriščam priliko, da je gospod Salecla, ki je vprašanje sporazuma Mercosur-Evropska unija. Kdo bo zdaj v Braziliji sejal? Ko bo sporazum podpisan, ki je še dolg proces, zdaj še Kanada ni ratificirana, tako naprej, ta bo potem tudi imel polje posejano, bo imel prisoten na trgu in bo uspeh. In tukaj Slovenija ima pomembno vlogo. Pomembno vlogo, tudi rekel smo, jaz bi tle slovenski diplomaciji, pa vladi, pa vsem čestitil za to zmago v varnostnem svetu. To je več kot samo biti v varnostnem svetu. To je biti na odru mednarodnih odločanj, to je biti na odru mednarodnih dogajanj. Še enkrat je že bila Slovenija to, zdaj že drugič in to je zelo pomembna stvar. In zdaj tudi to vlogo lahko Slovenija tudi v Evropski uniji med raznimi velikimi interesi, ki so, tudi igra. In ta sporazum je življenjsko pomemben za vse vas. Tisti, ki ste v Braziliji, boste lahko še bolj razširili in tudi potem treba imeti nove strategije. Za zaključek bi jaz rekel to. Jaz sem imel tovarne v 6 državah. Ni države, ki je lahka. Ni trg, ki je lahk. Je brazilski trg težji kot ostali? Ne. Enako je težak kot vsi ostali. Ampak, če jaz danes gledam, tle se spominjam Vekša, šole, pa naše prve poslovne šole, zdaj sodelujemo tukaj z drugimi šolami, tudi slovensko, Če jaz gledam danes slovenske menedžerje, slovenske lastnike tovarn, sem popolnoma prepričan, da ste kvalitetno izobraženi in tudi junaško pripravljeni, da greste na tako zahteven trg, kot je Brazil, na kateri se vsi srečujejo. Tako da dobrodošli v Braziliji, dobrodošli vsem, ki delajo tam, čestitam, in to je Slovenija za Brazilijo strateška, tako kot je gospod veleposlanik povedal. Edina latinskoameriška ambasada je Brazilija in je tukaj že 10 let, mislim, že več 14 let, 14 let, Slovenija je pa tudi spremeniti, da bo Slovenija pa slovensko gospodarsko strateško gledalo na tak trg, kot je Brazilija, da je bila na žalost ukinjeno slovensko predstavništvo v São Paulo pred leti, ki je bilo pred ambasado, to je bila zanimiva strategija. Slovenija je najprej naredila trgovinsko, gospodarsko predstavništvo, potem pa ambasado. In to je bila edina država, ki je dobila dovoljenje, da je odprla trgovinsko predstavništvo oziroma gospodarsko predstavništvo prednji je odprla ambasada, je bila vezana ambasada v Buenos Aires. Se pravi, še to. Slovenska skupnost, lepo pozdravljam gospoda Stebilja iz Urada za Slovence po svetu, je močna, aktivna, uspešna, zaposluje prek 1000 ljudi v Braziliji. Slovenci smo prisotni v Braziliji od leta 1910, to se pravi, mi ne gremo na nekaj novega. In zdaj imamo 3 leta pa pol te vlada, ki bo brez dvoma povlekla v Brazilijo, seveda, kar se dogaja v drugih delih sveta, je ena stvar, ampak Brazilija je iz tega izolirana. Daily issues so popolnoma drugi, kot jih vidite v Evropi. Najlepša hvala.
Although I don't understand Slovenian, I could understand that Mr. Šalej mentioned Embraer, and now we will be having Pawel Skuteli telling us a bit about Embraer. He is the airline marketing manager at Embraer based in Warsaw.
Thank you for the opportunity to present Embraer to you. I don't speak Slovenian either, but I also understood, I think, Embraer top Brazilska industria, so I hope I will manage to convince you that this is in fact the case. My name is Pawel Skuteli. I'm part of the Embraer commercial aviation. I would like to introduce our company to you. So Embraer started making aircraft more than 50 years ago. And it all started with small crop dusters, agricultural aircraft. But over time, Embraer grew to become one of the leading aerospace companies in the world. And right now, we have a very diverse portfolio across different segments of aviation. So we are still producing small agricultural aircraft, but we have also eVTOLs, this electric taxis for the mobility. We are producing satellites. We are producing military aircraft, cargo aircraft, executive jets, and of course commercial jets. And I would like to focus on the commercial aviation. First of all, I'm part of the commercial business, but I also think this is a very relevant topic for this conference and for the ongoing discussion in Slovenia about the future and the possibility of launching a new airline in the country. I mentioned the humble beginnings of Embraer, and when you think about it, it's really a story of a remarkable success. Aviation industry in general and aircraft manufacturing in particular is an extremely competitive business. It requires a lot of capital, a lot of knowledge, high-skilled labor. And when you look at our competitors, basically it's only US and combined Europe. we managed to compete in this very challenging market. And one of our advantages on the market is our skill and our experience. We managed to develop 21 aircraft in 21 years. This is something really amazing, and we are the only aircraft manufacturer that was able to achieve that number. And what is important that our engineers that are working across our different business units, so business aviation, commercial aviation, defense, they are involved in all those projects, and they're leveraging this experience. So an engineer that has been working, for instance, on the Phenom 100, on the small executive jet, can then support the programs in commercial and defense. And now focusing on the commercial aviation. We are the third largest manufacturer of the commercial jets in the world, just after Boeing and Airbus. But we have a specialization. We are strictly focused on the segment of regional jets. So jets with the capacity of up to 150 seats. And we are market leaders in that segment. And we have around 30% market share of deliveries globally. And Embraer is a global company. We delivered more than 2,000 aircraft that are flying currently for over 100 airlines across the globe, different geographies, over 60 countries. And we have a very diversified customer base. So our aircraft are flying for the biggest airlines in the world, but we also have experience with airlines that are operating only 1 or 2 aircraft. And in fact, if you are flying out of Ljubljana, there is a very good chance that you are actually flying on one of our aircraft, because this is, in fact, second most popular type here, measured by the number of departures. There are many airlines flying here using our aircraft. Lufthansa, Finnair, lot Polish Airlines, Swiss, Air France. So why these airlines are flying Embraer here to Ljubljana? Well, Ljubljana is still a relatively small market in comparison to the key cities in Europe. So you really need a smaller aircraft that can match capacity with the demand, right? Bigger aircraft would be just difficult to fill, so they would be flying half empty, which would make the sustainability of those routes very challenging from the economical and environmental point of view. So our aircraft are a very good solution to develop exactly this kind of markets, this kind of regional connectivity. And connectivity is very important. Good connectivity, it facilitates trade, it fuels tourism, it attracts investments, and it makes life easier. So looking at the numbers from IATA, so International Association of Air Transport, in 2019, a study prepared by Expert Economics put the number of jobs supported in Slovenia by aviation sector at 25,000. And aviation contributed to almost 3% of the GDP. So that's really a lot, right? But that's 2019, and of course we know that a lot has changed since then. First, we of course had the COVID pandemic that impacted the aviation industry probably more than any other industry, right? Fortunately, we are recovering, and when we are looking at European Union, we are already at around 90% of the capacity that we had before the pandemic. But in Slovenia, that's of course not the case. We are currently at 50%. We are currently at 50%. And of course, the main reason for it is the fall of Adria in 2019. And the void that Adria left on the market, it was never filled by the foreign carriers. They never appeared. So the connectivity really went down. And right now, you can see that most of the routes that were operated by Adria, they were never relaunched. And the others that were kept on the market suffered from a significant capacity decrease, making their travel really far more challenging. So for this kind of regional connectivity, Embraer has a new family of regional jets, the Embraer E2 family. The family consists of three aircraft, with the seat capacity from approximately 80 seats, of course it's customizable, you can configure it as you want, to up to 146 seats. And this is the only new generation family that is covering exactly this segment. And the main difference in comparison to the larger aircraft is just easier to operate smaller markets, right? The cost per trip of the smallest member of the family is going to be 40% lower than the typical bigger aircraft, or as we call it, narrow body, Airbus or Boeing. So you have more options to serve smaller markets. And E2 is a new family, and we are right now changing to this platform, and this platform is based on the E1, so the older variant. And the E1, when it first appeared on the market in 2004, it was truly revolutionary in that segment, because till that point, regional jets, they were always associated with the poor economics, poor comfort, and they were very limited by range. But our E-jets in 2004, they completely changed that. So they are offering a comfort similar, if not better, to the larger aircraft, but still they are providing a sustainable, good economics. And our latest model, the E2, is leveraging from this experience. We introduced a lot of new changes: new avionics, new engines, new landing gear, control surfaces, and of course new wing. Actually, when you look, for instance, at the wing, you can notice how sleek it is. It's the highest wing aspect ratio of any single aisle aircraft in the world, and it looks almost like a glider, right? And this is really a testimony of the high efficiency of the aircraft. And all those changes allowed us to decrease the fuel burn in comparison to our previous generation by over 17%, which means that, again, you can explore more markets, you can fly those smaller routes in a sustainable manner. And those aircraft are already entering service in Europe, and actually you can fly one of those from Ljubljana, because Swiss is flying one of the E2s here. And this is exactly what we think a very good proposition for Slovenia to develop Ljubljana and to restore the connectivity that was lost after the pandemic and fall of Adria. Thank you.
Okay, now we're having Matthias Kokan, President of SLOBRAZ, online. He'll address us.
Good morning to everybody. My name is Matthias Kokan. I'm a president of SLOBRAZ. Can you hear me?
Yes, now, yes.
Okay. So good morning again. My name is Matthias Kokan. I'm a president of SLOBRAZ. Firstly, I would like to thank you to Mr. Ambassador Eduardo Prisco for hosting this event. And good morning to Slovenian ambassador in Brazil, Gorazd Trenčo, who joined us in this early hour. And also greetings to representatives of APEX, Spirit, Ministry of Economy, to all other speakers, and of course to Dr. Bogdan Šalej, who always was and is a very important figure when we speak of bilateral relations between Slovenia and Brazil. Today, the bilateral trade between two countries is around $600 million, and this shows that Brazil and Slovenia are important trade partners. But I can also tell you that there are a lot more of opportunities to make this number bigger. So here is a message that I want to pass to everybody that is starting business in Brazil or is having business and is listening us today. So Brazil is a big consumer market with more than 200 million population. But don't be afraid to explore these opportunities. Just make sure that your business has a long-term strategy in this market. In order to be successful, not just look what product you can sell to make more money in a short time. I would suggest to try to find a reliable local partner, offer added value to your customers, and most important is to be patient because this is a long run. I have heard many complaints from businessmen that Brazil is closed and complicated market with complicated tax system. That's all true, but guess what? Business environment and rules are the same for everyone. And all major global players, and probably also your competitors, are already here doing a great business. So we at SLOBRAZ, we offer to our partners a wide network of professionals that can give you support in your business. And recently, we also launched a virtual map platform where you can find all kinds of business in Brazil that is somehow related to Slovenia. That would include a wide network of Slovenian descendants that are important part and founders of our organization. So I would like to invite you to use this platform in order to find some information or contacts that you're looking for in Brazil. And besides that, we have also our representative office in Slovenia, which is run by Mr. Uroš Kravos, who is also present today at this event. So if you have any questions regarding doing business in Brazil, you can contact us directly and we will be very happy to support you. I will just finish with a quote from Warren Buffett, who said that the first rule of an investment is don't lose money. And the second rule of an investment is don't forget the first rule. And that's all the rules there are. So don't forget this when you're doing business in Brazil or any other country. So thank you a lot, and I wish you a good business.
SLOBRAZ is really a very useful platform and doing a wonderful business in putting the two sides in contact. And now, before our break, I'll have the pleasure of having Ambassador Goras Hansel, who is, I say, you are early riser, come on, early bird. It's 5 o'clock in the morning in Brazil, you're already there. He will bring us his remarks. He'll be finishing his term in Brasilia, and I'm going to Ankara in Turkey, the ambassador of Slovenia in Turkey. He did a wonderful job. He's very well known in Brazil. Mateja, you have big shoes to fill. Goras, the floor is yours.
Hvala lepa. Lep pozdrav, dobro jutro v Ljubljano. Muito bom dia a todos os participantes do Brasil. And thank you very much, dear Ambassador Prisco, Eduardo, the whole team of the Brazilian Embassy in Ljubljana for hosting this event, and other organizers. I want to thank all the representatives of the Slovenian government, of the Brazilian government, all the supporting agencies such as Apex and Spirit on both sides, and of course, a very well welcome to the companies who will make this event a success or not. Allow me to also to pay a very special tribute to SLOBRAZ, to the two representatives of SLOBRAZ, Mr. Bogdan Šalej as the President Emeritus, and Nj.E Eduardo who just spoke as the President of SLOBRAZ. Because SLOBRAZ remains in this landscape of the supporting agencies the only binational body that really is dedicated and committed to support the economic cooperation between Brazil and Slovenia. And I think it is important to recognize their work at an event such as today's. In terms of the existing state of play, I will not lose too much time because the picture was painted brilliantly by my dear colleague Eduardo Prisco, who always brings these great comparisons in terms of with other countries, but also per capita, and what this cooperation in trade and investment between Slovenia and Brazil represents today and what it could represent. And this is what we're talking about today, about opportunities for the future, which I will use as a segue to my central message. I'm truly convinced, after spending almost 4 years in Brazil, that the economic partnership, the trade and investment partnership between Slovenia and Brazil is one of and one for the future. And I will use the terms which have been used today, and I don't particularly like to use them. I do not like talking about small and big countries. I don't like to talk about countries that are very far apart, but I will just use these terms just to illustrate the point. That is that, you know, this partnership might not be a very logical one, let's say, you know, in traditional sense, 100 years ago, say. These are two countries of very different size, very different economic structure, and divided by a great ocean. Yet we have success stories, and some of them will be represented today, and some of them have already been mentioned. Companies such as XLab, Rompex, Arex, StrapView, and, for example, we just heard a representative of Embraer on the Brazilian side. What I think these companies have in common is that they play kind of at the forefront of the industrial evolution and the technological innovation. And I think in a space where size doesn't matter as much as success and dedication, and in a place where persistence, I think, is more important than the distance, the geographical distance that might be a barrier in a traditional sense. So I think it can be done. It is being done by companies, and I'm hoping that more and more Slovenian companies will discover Brazil, a fantastic land of opportunity, and more Brazilian companies will discover Slovenia, the land of champions, as it was referred to today, which is part of, obviously, of a huge European market. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I have a good month left here in Brazil, so I will use this opportunity to thank some of you in the room who I have worked with. Apologize for any inconveniences, any mistakes that were made. They were made in the best effort to support the cooperation between Slovenia and Brazil, and to really thank you for the cooperation. And of course, I want to wish my successor, Mateja, the best success. I have offered my advice, the limited amount that I have, for your service. But in particular, if you need me to visit Brazil, in the future, let me know. I'll be very, very happy to do it. Thank you very much. Hvala.
It's a pity he can't join us for our coffee break, but we'll have a 15 minutes coffee break. We restarting at 11:30. Okay.
Please, let's get back to the room. Let's restart our sessions. Hello. Now we'll be having a panel on Slovenian business success cases in Brazil, moderated by Štefana Bogdana Šaleja and João Baião, my colleague from the embassy, who has the commercial sector of the embassy. Where's Šaleja?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. So we will now hear a few success story about the Slovenian business that have been investing in Brazil from many different sectors. So we have here Mr. Urs Kravos from PrepView in the domain of precision agriculture. He'll talk more about his business. And then we also have Mr. Yuri Pompe from XLab. Thank you very much for your presence. We also have Jernej from Farmalinia. I'm sorry for my pronunciation, excuse me in advance. We also have Madam Susana Pendic from Arex, and also Mr. Tim Castagne. We also had, I don't know if we have somebody from Rompex here that normally was supposed to. Okay, so Mr. Martin Mauric, okay.
Sloveno Mineiro.
Okay, so Mr. Šaleja and me will be moderating this together, so we'll improvise a little bit on the way. And well, but the first thing, perhaps we would like to hear is like a fast introduction, like 3 minutes introduction. Each of you telling a little bit what is your business, because we have here a variety of business sectors that range from defense sector to precision agriculture, IT, and pharmaceuticals and chemicals as well. So yes, so please let's start just the one that's next to me.
Good morning, everybody. Imenujem se Martin Maulić, rojen sem bil v Argentini, živim zdaj že 18 let v Brazilu. Delamo z rudarstvo, industrijo in civilno konstrukcijo. Mi bazično lomimo kamne, to je kar mi delamo, čeprav spadamo pod eksplozivno industrijo, mi smo razvili tehnologijo v Brazilu za lom kamne in to je neeksplozivna tehnologija. In tukaj sem opazil, da bi radi, da slovenska podjetja grejo v Brazilijo. In to je zelo lepo slišati. Naš primer je pa točno obratno. Mi bi pa radi pripeljali našo tehnologijo sem v Evropo. Samo 2 malenkosti sem slišal od začetka, da je gospod, ki se ne spomnim ime, rekel, da Slovenija je država champions. In jaz se s tem strinjam. Oče in mama sta oba bežala v Argentino in so nas naučili, da moramo biti strogi, ustrajni, in to sem jaz osebno zelo hvaležen in to mi je veliko pomagalo v Brazilu, da smo lahko razvili našo družbo. Tako da sem zelo hvaležen. In za slovenska podjetja, ki bi pa radi v Brazilijo prišli, kar jim pa lahko rečem, da morajo biti potrpežljivi, morajo vedeti, da stvari vzamejo veliko več časa kot verjetno tukaj v Sloveniji. In dobiti enega dobrega lokalnega partnerja. Brez tega je zelo težko, ker kulture so zelo drugačne. Je pa prekrasna država, ljudi so zelo, zelo vljudni in vsi tujci nas vidijo nekaj posebnega in to veliko pomaga, da se lahko razvija v Brazilu. Tako da hvala lepa vsem.
Kar naprej. Kar Juroš.
English. Okay, my name is Uroš, so somehow I'm connected with Brazil from 2004. At the time I used to work for Iskra Autoelectrica, which doesn't exist anymore because it was acquired by Mahle Group from Germany. But in that time, my mission was to start a greenfield company in Brazil with the local production. So I spent 5 years in Brazil. So it was a tough time. Especially due to the volatility of the exchange rate. So the business plan which was prepared in Slovenia was then within 2 months completely turned around. Was necessary to find another solution. So, and this is what Mr. Maulić said, in Brazil you have to be persistent. So the lessons which I learned in Brazil helped me a lot when we started a new project with a new, let's say a little bit late startup, EFOS from Slovenia, with very innovative technology in precision agriculture. So we are producing and developed automated pests for monitoring of the pests with artificial intelligence to count the daily catches, and then with special algorithms we have some predictive models to really forecast how to make the best spraying application on the field. So now I'm in this precision agriculture. today in this session was many times already explained that agriculture business is the most promising business in Brazil. Just my experience now as a second stage of my business career in Brazil, what I learned in my previous project helped me a lot to start this second mission a little bit different, but I think that we will discuss a little bit later about this.
Thank you. My name is Jure Pompe. I'm co-founder of the company XLab. So started this company with two of my colleagues back in 2001 after the graduation from the faculty. And it's a software development company with strong backgrounds in the research. So one of the co-founders was also, he came from the Štefana Institute. So when we started the company, we decided to engage in the research activities. So we got heavily engaged in the European research community and so on. That enabled us to partner with universities across Europe and so on, and to gain knowledge and also to grow the team. But all these years, we also tried to commercialize this knowledge, right, and to bring the knowledge into products. So one of the success stories, or a flagship product which we developed, is called ISL Online. It's a remote desktop software. Basically, most of you are familiar with this kind of software because during the COVID times, everyone was just staying at home and you needed to connect using Zoom or Teams and this kind of tools to remote computers. So basically, our software has a similar purpose. It's used by technicians in help desk departments of companies different industries. Basically, any company that has an IT department need this kind of solution. So technicians use our tool to connect to remote computers to support customers or end users, or to manage and control unattended remote computers. It's also been used as a work from home tool. So this is a flagship product which we started to sell on the global market in 2003. Ironically, we are based in Technology Park of Ljubljana, and that's where majority of research and development is being done. But the first licenses we sold to Switzerland and then to Spain. So even from the very beginning, our company was very much export-oriented. It's not a surprise due to the fact that Slovenia is a very tiny country. I mean, Mr. Ambassador said it might not be as tiny as we think of it, but anyway, still the domestic market is very small, so we were forced to offer this solution on global markets. So we started in Europe and then gradually expanded. In 2005, we entered the Japanese market, which is today the most important for our company. So we sell about 4% of licenses to the Japanese market, another 40% in European countries, and the rest in Northern and North and South America, more or less. So I'm very honored, actually, that Mr. Šalej invited me to this forum today. We have been doing business in Brazil since 2009. That's when we started with the local partner, actually a local internet service provider there, and they were our customer basically. Since they were using our tool and they really liked our tool, they made a proposal to also distribute our software in the Brazilian market, and we were very happy about it. So that's how we started. Unfortunately, I can say our story in Brazil is highly successful yet, but that's something we are planning to change, and that's also a reason why I'm here, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Zwan. So before I start presenting the company, I would also like to thank for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. Some of the words I've just heard somehow resembles and resonates in my head, as we as well do not maybe have a huge success yet on Brazilian market. But it's something that we think it shall utilize in the next months. Hopefully the very next contract that will be signed will be the Brazilian one. Farmalina is a relatively small and young Slovenian company. We develop and market clinically supported food supplements. We do so under the private label. So essentially what we do as a part of the business development team, we search for brand owners worldwide who will be interested to outsource such products and not to develop and manufacture those in-house. Farmalina is one of the 3 companies that belong to the same group. Throughout these 3 companies, we succeeded to have some sort of a vertical integration. One of the companies is a distributor of branded ingredients that are being used for development and production of food supplements, and as such is also the key supplier to Farmalina. Farmalina, developer and manufacturer of finished formulations, and the 3rd company is a production plant which is located in Celje, and it's an exclusive production facility for the needs of Farmalina. Our story in Brazil started, I believe, somewhere at 2021, maybe in 2022, somewhere in between, in the middle of the COVID. We started by doing the analysis, and now, as mentioned, we are, let's say, coming to the point where hopefully we'll be able to utilize the hard work we did so far. Farmalina is a 100% export company, so we as well do not sell much in Slovenia for probably the same reasons as it was mentioned. So for us, such networking events actually are extremely important for the growth and future success of the company.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Susanna Pendic. I work for RX company. We are defense industry, and I'm responsible for transfer technology and know-how from Slovenia to Brazil. And with me is our CEO, Tim Castagna, and he's gonna tell something a little more about our business in Brazil. Thank you very much. And thank you, Dr. Bogdan Šaleja.
Thank you, Susanna. Yes, we are representing RX in Jerneja, which is the biggest firearms and defense producer in protection producer in Slovenia. Our range of products is basically ballistic protection training, ammunition training tools, and firearms. In 85 years, we are the only company from outside Brazil that managed to get the permit to produce our guns in Brazil in the joint cooperation. A bumpy road to get there, not easy business, but so we're lucky to have Susanna on the field, who handles our business very, very strongly from the place. We are now done with the setup of the cooperation, and just like the 2 gentlemen before me, so far it was let's say the startup phase, but now we have been selected a company who is a strategic partner for the government, which is like the honor we needed to be taken serious in business, and we are now looking forward to some good business coming, long-term relation. Our products, since they are defense, and our customers is the government, is also on a highly political level, so there's a lot of cooperation needed between the Slovenian government and the Brazilian government, which helped us to set up the business, and we are quite positive that we get something done on a larger scale very soon. Thank you.
So, thank you very much. Maybe that I will start with what is the most difficult part for me after living 63 years in Brazil, almost so 63 I live abroad. What was the most difficult in the Brazilian business? The Brazilians never know to say no. No doesn't exist in Brazilian language, culture, no. So in the business, you never know if they conclude the business as your competitor or not. If you have this now, they are always so. So you have to learn this with patience. Tell me straight to my eyes, yes or no. Oh. So this is for me, even nowadays. I don't know from Mr. Mauric, for instance, who is Argentinian, maybe it is a little bit born in Argentina, a little bit more Latin blood. I have Starsko blood, which is not patient at all. So this is something that I consider. The second part is regarding the language. I want to ask you, do you consider that the language, and the third part, the partnership that some of you mentioned, local partner, what is this? Please, Jure.
I just wanted to add to this comment you made, because we are doing a lot of business in Japan, as mentioned before. So we were struggling a bit about this in Japan as well. I mean, they do have a word for no. It's called maybe. So you don't get no in Japan either. Back to your question, you asked me about language per year. Yeah, for us, for our company, I mean, of course, it is a language barrier to enter any market, any foreign market. But yeah, as mentioned before, we are Slovenians, so we have 2 million inhabitants. We have been doing business with other countries. So we had all these tools and backend solutions to support localization of the software, the website, and everything into Brazilian Portuguese. The biggest challenge is not the language, it's the people, to find the right team, to train the team, and to learn how to collaborate, also due to the time differences and so on. But yeah, the most difficult part when entering any market, I would say, according to my experience, is to find a reliable partner and skilled people who are passionate and who you can share your vision, and who are willing to collaborate and share the enthusiasm with you when developing the local business.
Regarding the language, I just want to congratulate Ambassador Prisco, because the Cathedra for Portuguese language start now in Ljubljana again, as I learned. So that it is, okay, it's Brazilian Portuguese, because don't mix Brazilian Portuguese with the Portuguese from Portugal. This is not the same, the same language, different expression, so it's a little bit different. But anyway, don't worry. I have a grandson, my son is here as well, 4 years later, old. He is speaking much better Portuguese than me. So you have all chances. But the young generation, I think your generation is all of them are very highly educated, speaking English and different language. In the school, Secretary Jean Bayon studied, they studied English, French, English. Now also they start with Mandarin, you know. So that is, but is in the daily life, you have to use a lot of Italian way. There was a lot of. And another thing, if you allow me, I think that is very. I see here, Director General of Slovenian in Slovenian Foreign Ministry for Economic Diplomacy, Dr. Šešum, that we are using. General Slovenian companies are using not very much, nor Brazilian embassy, who has a commercial section as well, nor Slovenian embassy in or Slovenian foreign ministry knowledge on the business. This is something that you have both two institutions that as taxpayer you are already paid. You have highly qualified, in both sides, highly qualified professionals and public servants who want to help you. So this is something that Susanna used to work in the Slovenian embassy, was very active, too much active. Please.
I just wanted to tell you that RX company, we really used and we are using still Slovenian embassy in Brazil, and they're helping us a lot. Without them, it wouldn't be possible to set up our business in Brazil.
So the Slovenian Foreign Ministry financed through the embassy this map of Slovenian business in Brazil as well, the platform we use is Slovenian Global Business Network. So it's quite digitalized. I think this is something that we can. Urush, I think that you want to complement, please.
Yeah, about the language. So somehow it depends also on the industry. Maybe that in software you have this nature speaking English. But depends of the industry, and deeper you are going to the market, it's necessary to talk in Portuguese. Otherwise, it's not possible to make a business. This is my personal opinion.
Okay. So, any questions?
Oh, that was very interesting. Going back to the beginning, one thing I would like to ask you, if you could share, because we all know about these cultural differences and also the geographical distance of Brazil. So why did you decide to invest in Brazil? How did you identify the opportunity in the Brazilian market? And I would like, I don't know, perhaps you could share your experiences, any particular idea on not only like the main challenges that you faced, which is very useful for the people who are thinking about investing in Brazil, but also why to invest in Brazil, why this decision was taken, and what would you advise your other companies in Slovenia that perhaps are considering the same possibility but are still undecided? I don't know any thoughts on that.
I would say first main reason is because the local market is huge, and needs new things, new technology, new skills, and so that's why Brazil is so important as a market. It's huge. Difficulties, yes, a lot. Again, language. I didn't speak any Portuguese when I came to Brazil. Of course, I speak Spanish, so that's made things a little bit easier. But still, Brazil and Argentina, they usually make fun of us, so you have to go along with that. You have to be used to that. And again, be patient and understand that they make jokes different than maybe here in Slovenia. Here, everybody is much more like rigid, and you're not gonna find that in Brazil, so be prepared to that. Mr. Šalej, we talked about that today, early in the morning. And basically made them feel that you are prepared to learn also. So they will learn from you, and they are prepared to learn, and we have to learn from them. So that's it. It's not much more than that, in my opinion. So again, go to Brazil. Brazil is a beautiful country. Don't miss that.
Before you start, maybe excuse me. One important thing that Mr. Marsh mentioned is that, look, small country, big country, doesn't matter. Market different when you go to the south of Brazil, or when you go to the northeast of Brazil, or when you go to the Amazonian region. Sometimes you are not very successful in tremendously competitive market in São Paulo, because everybody in São Paulo, just to give you one figure, Ambassador Prisco knows this well because he was the head of the foreign ministry, Brazilian foreign ministry office in Rio de Janeiro. You know that how many foreign representatives you have in Rio de Janeiro and in São Paulo. In São Paulo you have everybody. Euroc chambers, for instance, that we belong, SLOBRAZ belong. So you have to think in Brazil also in regional markets. And in regional markets, for instance, the state of Minas Gerais that we are, the triangle, which is Uberlândia, is completely different than Northeast, which is so don't think in Brazil as one market. You have to think in the different country. And for instance, if you ask me how many, when I visit last time Brazil, I don't remember. So it's the distance are sometimes much bigger in the market terms than only geographic distance. Sorry.
Yes, completely agree. I want to add that Brazil is much more than Rio de Janeiro. Everybody thinks that Rio de Janeiro is Brazil. Rio de Janeiro is almost nothing. Brazil is much bigger. We have a lot of farms, we have a lot of mountains, not as high as here in Slovenia, but oh yeah. But anyway, Brazil is not Rio de Janeiro, although Rio de Janeiro is in Brazil.
Okay, I will explain you first my project in Iskra, why we decided to invest in Brazil. We already have export from Slovenia to Brazil to multinational companies like CNH, ACCO, Valtra. And, you know, we requested from their buyers to grow. And they said, yes, you have very good product, excellent product, but in case that we would like to give you a biggest purchasing share, you have to come and be a local production. First of all, the distance is very important in business. So the time lag is not so big. Now we have 4 or 5 hours, but this distance is the issue that you have to manage. So this was the strategy to follow our global multinational customers. Now in second case with Trgu, where we are, let's say, somehow pioneers also with the European patent, we would like to enter and to promote digitalization in farming or agriculture industry. And this is very promising market. So to compare, the entire area for the farmers in Slovenia is around 600 hectares. In Brazil, we have customers like Amagi, Schaefer, SLC. They have 500,000 hectares, you know, only one company. This is not a farm, it's a company, you know. So there is this possibility of scalability. And also Brazil is really a promising country, very big country, but we are also facing with a lot of challenges which we didn't consider before. It's a connectivity because the country is very big, you know, we are talking about São Paulo, for instance, as a state, has a connectivity coverage 4%. Mato Grosso, where is the biggest farms, 3.4%. And these are the issues which we are facing and trying now also how to solve with the satellite connections. And we are sure that also Brazil, as a Brazilian government, will invest in the future a lot about this infrastructure, how to make the connectivity, because the same issue as we are faced is also John Deere and also other let's say producers or manufacturers who are presented in ag business.
So it was a lot has been said about the size, right? So sheer size of the country and the market. So that's a quite logical reason you cannot ignore Brazil. It's too big to be ignored, right? So if you're doing business globally, then you have to consider Brazil at some point. As I mentioned before, our point was in 2009. And I must admit that one of the reasons, the initiative came from the Brazilian side. So as I mentioned before, the distributor which we were working with was our customer at first. So that was one of the reasons I decided. And also, coincidentally, we were working at that time with Portugal Telecom on a research project. So we felt we could build some kind of a link between Portugal and Brazil as well. So that was one idea at that time. So that's how we entered the market, and then we were learning about it, and we got really excited about how things work there. So we talked about challenges. Yeah, one was language, of course. Then real. So when we started doing business in Brazil, real was like 2.5 or 3 real for €1. Now then it got to 6. So it the depreciation was quite heavy. So those were challenges. We overcame those challenges by listing our prices in reals. So at first, in the beginning, our prices were in US dollars, but then we changed that to Brazilian real. That was one move we made. One thing which we also noticed is so culturally how I mean we get really well along, I believe, for some reason. Maybe that's because Brazil has so many descendants from Europe, and I believe that building a personal relationship is a very important thing in Brazil. And that's something what we did with our partner. And it was just pleasant, I must say. It was a so nice experience. So we were growing, we were developing this personal relationship, growing the business. It was very enjoyable. And maybe one more thing I would like to point out at this moment. We are a very small player in this global market, in our business segment, or this specific industry which we are working. We are mostly competing against the US companies. And that's the same in Brazil as well. There are no domestic, let's say, vendors which we would be our competitors. But mostly we are competing against the US companies. And I believe that, well, that's just maybe my feeling, I'm not sure. But I believe that the Brazilians kind of like the European style, which is not solely money driven, but it's also put emphasis on the personal relationship and long-term commitments and other values, which are, not just money. So that's something I noticed, and I was really enjoying, and I still enjoy. We were struggling a bit because the company which we worked before, the distributor, there was a change of ownership, and so we had like 3 or 4 years of lost opportunities, basically, because we were trying to restart the business with new owners, and they were not interested in this, and we were struggling for a while. But now we are starting a new chapter. So we started a new company, which is solely, the sole purpose of this company is to distribute our software in the Brazilian market. The capital of the company is Brazilian, and we are bringing the technology in the play. So
yeah, I think a lot of things will be repeated today. So how it started for us? As every new market we enter, we start with the analysis of the market. I think this is the very obvious thing we do. The thing is that we normally do not decide only upon the size of the market, even though Brazilian market as it is today for food supplements is quite big, comparable at this point, for example, to German market. But more importantly, as a food supplement industry is a relatively young industry, for us, Brazilian market represents a great opportunity because it's not yet a matured market. Brazilian market in food supplements is doubling in every 5 years. Current spending of Brazilian consumer for food supplement is $9. In Italy, for example, it's $61 per every Italian spent per year. So these are all the factors we normally consider when we decide to enter the market. Again, not only the size of the market, but what is the future outlook of the size that it could become. When it comes to the challenges, I think I will not repeat so much geographical distance. I think we calculated with my colleague that it takes us 24 hours door to door. So hopefully we manage to sell some airplanes to Slovenian government soon. We have to drive to Venice, 3 hours, flying to Paris, and then to São Paulo. So it's a hurdle to get there. For this reason, we have decided last year to have a bit of a longer expat, I would say, campaign with our colleague who stayed in Brazil for 3 months. And this actually proved to be a good decision. Not only we were close and more flexible when it comes to organizing meetings, but I think as well, and this brings me to the second cultural challenge, you have to spend time there to establish good relationships. And I cannot emphasize this enough. I think it's very much linked to the trust you build over time. Nothing happens overnight. It's actually very comforting for me to hear that no does not exist, because I thought that we were doing something completely wrong. It's true, you have to learn the culture. When you embrace that the culture is different, you somehow get more patient. And patience for sure is one of the things that you have to learn if you want to do a business in Brazil. For us, the third obstacle, but it's not unique to Brazil, it's an obstacle that we see on every market we enter, is the regulation of pharmaceutical products or nutraceutical products. Here, Anvisa is a Brazilian agency that takes care of the safety of food supplement products. We had to do the due diligence, we had to do the homework before we even started pitching our products to Brazilian market. So we spent a big part of our time understanding what can be registered as a food supplement, how long does it take, what kind of ingredients and APIs are allowed, and so on and so forth. So this is something we did up front, and I think we have now a good overview of what we can actually achieve when it comes to the regulation. Just another thing that I forgot to mention when it comes to the culture, I think we mostly deal with big pharmaceutical companies. So our ideal client would be companies such as Europharma, for example, and we see one specific also when it comes to the organization of those companies is that hierarchy is very important there. So it's very important that you get access to decision makers, as otherwise the decision-making process takes a lot of time.
Sorry, just to complete something. You mentioned two very important things. Don't come to Brazil for one business. Brazilian feel that you come because this is historically. When the Portuguese come and then other foreigners come, gringo come, just take and leave the Brazil and leave nothing in the country. This you mentioned, both of you. It's important that you give the impression you are a long-term partner. We are not here just to make money. We are here to partner with our best resources, the best knowledge. No, this is something. You are not coming just to take and to make a business. One business. If it's one business, it's one relationship. Maybe you find. The second that you mentioned, that is some kind of profession in Brazil. This is crucial for anything what you do, especially with the government offices. A lot of digitalization, the facilities, for instance, in my humble opinion, Brazil is much more digitalized in some services. Go Brazilian than Slovenia, for instance, some European countries. This is unbelievable that you don't need some offices, but in other cases like Anvisa or Ministry of Defense and so on, the important profession in Brazil is despachante. I don't know how. This is the guy who know how you go down. He knows he has brother-in-law. By the way, brother-in-law in Brazil is not relative. It's part of family. It's not relative. He knows how to go over there and find the legal way. Never go Brazil and try, if someone come to you in Brazil, suggest you to do it something out of the law, don't mention it, don't do it, because you have no future. Why? Because the Brazilian legislation, all the laws is like Emmentaler cheese, a lot of holes. You have to find the right hole in the legislation, or the lawyer, or the despachante which help you. So this is my experience. Maybe yours is different. Susanna, sorry that I didn't give you the word.
We are two of us, so it's better that one explain, and I can add something if it's necessary, okay?
Correct me if I'm wrong, yes. I am in this very special industry that we're in, with firearms, for 23 years now. And I have already, with two much stronger brands than RX, I have already made the approach to go to Brazil, because for us, for firearms, it's more interesting, because you said, right, Brazil is not one Brazil, it's many places. But talking to the authorities, there you are actually talking to the whole country. So it is of course super attractive. The Sao Paulo police alone is 100,000 people. So that's like the police of all Scandinavian countries, plus Austria, plus the East. So very interesting, but Brazil can be very protective in their markets. Extremely protective, old-fashioned protective, especially for firearms. I've wasted millions on that, and others have too, to try to get into this business. Especially, thanks for saying that, especially because if you come with a big brand, everybody is afraid to say like, okay, you will just take that market share because now it's 100% ours, and the money will go away to US or Germany. So the way that we were lucky with RX to get in, because at this special case, the door was open for the other side. There was Brazil looking for a partner. And the partnership that we established is much different to bringing in a big brand and running all under this brand. It's more about technology transfer, very long-term project, the clear vision that one day the production in Brazil will be 100% managed by them. That worked well for us, but if there's a ton of learning, of course. One of my learnings is I just want to reassure, because that's very true. Don't jump on a business opportunity because somebody tells it to you. Make sure it's super backed up by the people in Brazil that really have a say, and it's not just an idea. And when you're there, don't be surprised that at least in the middle management structure, not in the bigger industry that you said, but in the middle management structure, you find management styles that are obsolete in Europe for a long time already. It's very hierarchical, you said. It's very masculine. It's the working hours is not what you would expect. I'm North German, sorry. So I come from a different mindset. Also, yes, it's very familiar. It's very friendly. So my personal comfort zone is like 3.5 meters. In Brazil, it's maybe 20 centimeters. So it's this you have to overcome. But there's a lot of great feedback that you get from these guys. And once this is running, it is running well. But my final words to that, because everything has been said, is don't try this without local presentation and representation that you control. Without Susanna, no chance for us. And we can see it now. Susanna spends, I'd say, 2/3 of the year in Brazil and wants to relax. So that's not really, but you can tell when she's there, then the process is there, and when she's back, we'll catch up with what has been left. But we have somebody to knock it up. But now we see the conversion is happening. It's not happening in Slovenian speed or German or whatever European speed. It's happening in Brazilian speed, but it's going to be there because it's implemented very strongly, because it's adapted to their culture. And now we have a Brazilian company with a Slovenian mindset, and that will work, but it took us 4 years. So that's what the timeline you have to expect. Thank you.
Maybe that one thing that you mentioned, which is important. When you come to Brazil, you are not anymore foreign company. This is something which I personally, and the former chairperson of Business Association, disagree. Because I was a Brazilian businessman, I was not foreign. I came to Brazil with $5, 60. So I built up with my colleagues and friends, the companies and so on, that I am Brazilian businessman. I am not foreign investor in Brazil. But when you come as a foreign investor in Brazil, you are not any more foreign investor. You are Brazilian company, protected and in equal foot, in equal conditions as as any Brazilian company. So when you mention that this is a protected, then when you come, you are protected by the system, by the legal system, right? As well, all the protection that the Brazilian government and market give you against your competition from abroad or even in the country. So this is something that I say. Second point is interesting in Brazil, which I personally also disagree sometimes, that you are allowed to pay, I think your mention is this, you are allowed to transfer the money for trademark, for your brand, free. So Volkswagen pay to Volkswagen Germany 10% of the income to use Volkswagen name in Brazil. This is legal. And the second point, that you can transfer also freely the technology. So I don't know, we don't mention your company, but probably you did it. You transfer the technology to your own company over there, which is established and producing in Brazil, and this company transfer. So the transfer of profits, income, and so on, the price transfer and so on, legally. It's nothing not legally. If you have a good lawyer, if you have a good advisor, you have making quite a lot of business, let's say. In last year, the Brazil transferred $45 billion done in Brazil. So this is important when you have the company in Brazil. Please.
I just wanted to add, maybe it's also important that each state in Brazil has different taxations. So it's really important to study taxes for each state in Brazil.
Well, thank you very much. I think it was very insightful comments that we just heard. I learned a lot, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. We are running quite late in the schedule, I guess, but I would not like to close this before giving the opportunity for the audience. Perhaps somebody has a pressing question, would like to make some comment or...
Okay, thank you. So I have a lot of contacts with Slovenian companies which would like to enter in Brazil. And I would like to explain you now the difference between the wish and desire. I think that a lot of Slovenian companies are still on the point of the wish. And there is a really straight distinguished line between wish and desire. So when you are really ready to go to Brazil, you have to swap to desire. And this means that you will have to invest a little bit of your time and money. That's the point, because as you said, it's necessary to prepare, as the lady said, we have different states, different taxation, different import process. It's necessary really to study well. Because I will explain you my story from Iskra. We prepare a business plan, and within 2 months I saw I will not survive with this. I had to turn around the philosophy. We started with one, let's say, sales pillar. At the end, I finished with 5. Otherwise, due to the volatility of the market, let's say the exchange rate volatility, it's necessary to be ready how you will prepare your strategy, how you will swim in this really challenging and good market. Because really, when I was there was 170 million people, now it's 200 million. It's really the market which is growing. And again, I think that for Slovenian companies, there is a lot of business opportunities, but it's necessary really to prepare the right strategy. And when you have a plan, start with desire.
Well, our big applause for...
So then we go to, it would be investing in Slovenia. So Mr. Zoran Stamastovski will tell us a bit about that.
Good afternoon. It's a very big privilege for me to be here in this event. Spirit Slovenia is a public agency. We are talking all the morning about SLOBRAZ. I have to tell you that SLOBRAZ is one of our members of our system of Slovenian business clubs abroad, and we also financed part of their activities. So let's say that Spirit Slovenia is very important also for promoting business relations between Slovenia and Brazil. promote business relation, and especially because I'm coming from the Department for Foreign Direct Investment Promotion, to bring also some new Brazil companies here to Slovenia. We know that there are not so many companies, Brazilian companies in Slovenia, so our task is to bring another. Also in Brazil, there are some Slovene companies, but I think that in the future, more and more, let's say, brave Slovene businessmen will go also to Brasilia. Foreign direct investment, many foreign companies which come to Slovenia in the last 30 years went through our doors because it's practically impossible. So we, especially for has to do business in Slovenia, let's say, which trying to find new business partners, or at the end of the day, also to invest in Slovenia. Because we are in the 100% state governmental ownership, all our activities are completely free of charge for everybody who come from abroad to Slovenia. Please.
First experience of Slovenia was so much more than I expected. I had to come back. Now that I've been here a few times, I know it's much. It might be small in size, but it's big in its achievements. Now I know it's good. As forests cover more than half its land, but because everyone is working together. Take the environment. From innovative pioneers in light aviation to greenhouse heating of geothermal water, while smart sensors control its production. Creators of self-sustainable zero-emission houses that are in complete sync with nature. Now I also know that it's creative, not just because of its unique achievements in sustainable construction engineering, but also because it manufactures sports equipment for champions the world over. But Slovenia isn't just green or just creative. It's a fun-loving and free country where groundbreaking ideas come to life. And it's smart. Because Slovenia's know-how is used for automotive testing. And every single car in the world has at least one component made in Slovenia. And because it's one of the leading manufacturers of generic pharmaceuticals. Of course, Slovenia is already famous for its hospitality and locally grown food. And its engineers never stop working on cutting-edge automation. While its companies constantly push the barriers in technological innovation. And all because of its brilliant people, educated and reliable, multilingual and talented. We can improve the quality of your life, or even help you reach the stars. Now, India, I know that Slovenia is a land of infinite potential with fantastic opportunities. Which one will you take? Slovenia, a land of infinite potential for your business. Make the most of it.
So very short presentation of Slovenia. Okay. Very short presentation of Slovenia. This was a film which is not the newest one, but I think very nice for the presentation of Slovenia. Here you have some macroeconomic environment in Slovenia. In the year 2022, Slovenia was has one of the highest GDP growth in European Union. For this year, we expect a little later 1.8%, but next year will improve again. GDP per capita in Slovenia for this year it will be around 30,000 euros, what is above the average in European Union. We are very proud of that too. Slovenia as a small country has to be very export oriented. So very important data is also export growth in percentage. You can see that in this year it will be lower than in 2022, and it will improve next year again. Very important data is unemployment rate in Slovenia through the ILO standards. We have very low, the lowest unemployment rate in last maybe 10, 12 years. Now we have around 4%. Normally, average was around 6.5% before. Our productivity, GDP per employee is also pretty high, and inflation rate, sorry, because of the crisis in European Union, remain pretty high. At the end of the year, we expect to be 7.1%, what is not normal. Slovenia in last 20-25 years has average inflation rate between 3 and 4% maximum. As I said, Slovenia has to be a strong exporter, and we are membership of different very important institutions. We are member of European Union from 2004. Our euro as a currency is from 2007. In 2010, we became a member of OECD, and 2004 also became of NATO. Bilateral trade between Slovenia and Brazil, this is always so that each part can take only the information from their statistical office. Here you can see Slovene numbers, and also here Brazil has much more export to Slovenia as export to Brazil. We need also to do something in this question, normally with the help to Slovenian companies which intends to export to Brazil and also other countries of Latin America. On the right side, you can see the products which are very important in Slovene export to Brazil, and on the other side in Slovenian import from Brazil. If anybody needs this presentation, you can take it on the Brazilian embassy, so I will not talk about this because I know that we are in some time problems. Please. Some words about Slovenia. Slovenia can be, and it is, a getaway to Europe and beyond. You can see we are practically in the center of Europe. It is easy market access to European Union markets with 500 million inhabitants, and with eastern and southeastern markets of Europe with 20 million inhabitants. Ambassador of Brazil mentioned our port of Koper. This is really very important point for export and import from abroad and from Slovenia to other countries. From this port of Koper is the shortest way to Central Eastern Europe. So it's very important that the countries in this basin are using port of Koper. A very big number of companies from Bavaria, companies from Czech Republic, from Slovakia, from Hungary, using our port because it is really the northern port in the Adriatic Sea. Port has also high quality port infrastructure. It is very important because of each year more and more things are import or export through port of Koper. We have very well established links to regional markets. Show a shared history with the countries of Yugoslavia is also very important. Also with the companies of former Habsburg monarchy. And the DACH market. The DACH market are the countries with German language. This is Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. We have really very strong relations with them. Very important in Slovenia is that we have excellent knowledge and understanding of our neighbors, customs, culture, and language, and also with the countries of southeastern part of Europe. Because of that, many companies from European Union and also nowadays from other parts of the world world use Slovenia as a starting point for their business activities also in the neighborhood of Slovenia, please. You heard in our movie that our main logo is now green, creative, and smart. That means that it joins Slovenia's family of investors, experienced countries, green qualities, and creative talent, and discover the different smart solutions in growth of your business. We don't like to be classical country with industries which are not green, which are not smart, and which are not creative. I heard that many people here mentioned Slovenia as a champion, but we have also another thing which we're very proud on it, so-called criterion of hidden champions. Hidden champions are leaders in terms of market share in their respective fields among three in the world, number one on the continent, earning modest revenues, no more than 1 billion with some exceptions, and hidden means that it's not well known in general public. Here on this list you can see that Slovenia has the 6th place in the world in the question of number of hidden champions. I saw also Brazil. Brazil is somewhere at the end of this list. We are very proud of these companies. One of them is, you see the exhausting system for the motorbikes, which is in the world #1 producer for MotoGP motors. Please. Some words about excellence in high-tech and niche technologies. Slovenia is very strong in automotive industry. Here, Akrapovic is the company which produced this exhausting system. In aerospace industry, Pipistrel is our representative in small and sport planes. He sold this company, but the company stays in Slovenia and is very important also in the European sense of the company producer of light aviation. Electrical equipment, you can see we have a company, Domel, which is a very big exporter in vacuum cleaner motor segments and also other segments. Machining and fabricated metal products are very important, which are using in different sectors of industry. Fotona is a company which produces the products also for the army industry, very strong on the market. Information and communication technologies are very important in Slovenia. Here you can see that also our national institute, Josef Stefan, participate in this field. Here you can see that in some parts of this industry, Slovenia is global #1 producer or regional European leader in these fields, and this again proves that Slovenia is also technologically very strong. Biotechnology is now, in last time, very important. Slovenia is a leading European provider of innovative healthcare and lifestyle solutions based on the preventive genetic testing. This is very modern because through these tests, doctors have very good support preparing the analysis of the healthcare of each person. Please. Some words about working people here in Slovenia. 47.7% of young people studying and researching at Slovenia's globally renowned universities, what is above the average of European Union. 41.2% of students graduated in science and engineering, what is also a very high percentage in comparison with competitive countries of us. Because these people are the most important for business and these people are the most important also for industry. Slovenia's productivity ranks is above our neighbors and competitive countries. On the right side, you can see that our productivity in industry is the highest than in Poland, Slovakia, Portugal, Czech Republic, Hungary, Croatia, Bulgaria, and other countries. In this sense, Slovenia is again highly under the average of European Union. 84% of working population speak at least one foreign language. In Slovenia, it's very hard to find a person who does not speak English. Many people on the northern side of Slovenia can speak German. Many people on the western side of Slovenia can speak Italian. And also on the eastern side of Slovenia, some people speak Hungarian language, which is for us very hard, but they are members of Hungarian minority here in Slovenia. Please. Slovenia is an important research and development player in the region. Here you can see the plane of the company Pipistrel. This plane took also some awards in the NASA competition in America. So 2% of GDP in Slovenia is allocated to research and development. And among this 2% of GDP, 3/4 is invested in this sector. Tax incentives can be 100% tax deduction in research and development. That means when the company start with the research and development activities, tax incentives are completely dedicated. Slovenia is strong to modest innovator through the European Innovation Scoreboard. We are also very happy for that. And Slovenia is so-called innovative economy through Bloomberg Innovative Index. Here you can see that we are pretty higher than our competitors, practically the same as Italy, a little lower than Austria, and not very much lower than Germany. Please. Very important matter in Slovenia, also quality of life. Slovenian workers are anybody from abroad can say that Slovenian workers are crazy. Yes, they are working very hard, but they also enjoy quality of life. We have very high standards of living. In Slovenia, it's moderate climate, well-preserved countryside, active lifestyle. And in the year 2021, Slovenia took the 15th place in the world on quality among all countries. That means that also some countries in European Union which are more developed than Slovenia has a lower rank in quality of life. Education. In Slovenia exists several international schools, so also for foreigners it's not a problem to find schools for their children. And Slovenia has the highest quality educational system. Healthcare. Slovenia has strong healthcare system and life expectancy at birth is minimum 78 years, and this is improving from year to year. That means that our health system is the same for everybody. Basic health system is practically free for all citizens of Slovenia, and we have to pay just additional insurance for healthcare. Very important data is Slovenia is the 5th safest country in the world. As I read, Brazil is not so high, but we are proud of this. This is through Global Peace Index 2021. Please. Slovenia is very open to business. We have stimulating investment environment. Slovenia is the 3rd least restricted country for FDI among all OECD members. Starting a business in Slovenia is very fast and simple, and effective corporate income tax, when you use into consideration all deduction and all these things, the Bank of Slovenia make a study, and it is 13.12%, what is also very low in comparison with many countries in the European Union and also with the countries in the world. Tax relief, as I said, 100% of the amount invested in research and development, and up to 40% of the amount invested in equipment in intangible long-term assets. That means that also for beginners, tax reliefs are pretty good. Incentives for FDI. We have grants for projects in the value of at least 0.5 to 1 to 12 million euros, depends how big is your investment in Slovenia, and grants for projects in the value of more than 12, 3 or 2 million, which is also going, all these procedures going through Spirit Slovenia. Spirit Slovenia is official agency of the ministry, and for the biggest projects also the procedure goes through the Ministry of Economy, Tourism and Sport. Strategic investment, when a foreign company invest in the sectors which are strategic, very important in Slovenia, the procedure is much quicker. These are projects in the value over 40 billions with minimum 200 new jobs, manufacturing service industry, or 20 million and 100 new jobs in research and development. These are special projects which are we are cooperating with the ministry, and procedure is really quick and smooth. Please. Some words about FDI in Slovenia. Personally, I'm coming from the FDI promotion department in the our agency. By the way, I started this work in '95, so you can imagine that I have some experience also in this matter. Here you can see that in the last, let's say, 7-8 years, Slovenia get more than 10 billion euros. What is for such a small country pretty good achievement. On the right side, you can see the sectors which are the most important for foreign direct investment. The majority is manufacturing. This is because our very good working power. Financial insurance, it was at the beginning mostly banks and insurance companies. Wholesale and retail is very, very strong, and all others. Here is one example of very, very successful direct investment in Slovenia. Japanese company Eskawa, who is the second biggest producer of robots in the world, invested in Slovenia. Now they have in plans the third investment. First investment was in the 2016. These were very, very successful and very quick. It was finished. Then decided for the second investment in 2019, and now in 2023 they practically decided to execute the third investment in Slovenia, and in Slovenia they will make European Technological and Research and Development Center. That means that high technology Japanese company choose Slovenia to build their the technological center for the whole European Union and the rest of countries of Europe. Please. Here are some samples of the companies which have invested in Slovenia. You can see Novartis and Sandoz in pharmaceutical industry. Kune Nagel is transport and logistics. More and more Japanese companies, because of Yaskawa, are coming now to Slovenia. They found Slovenia as a very good location for start business for the whole Europe. Goodyear is investor many years, and Sumitomo is also Japanese investor in pharmaceutical industry. They produce some parts for the injections. Please. Some words about our agency. Spirit Slovenia supports your investment plans by providing information and business support. As I said, the first visit in Slovenia is the best to be known for the foreigners. We have all sorts of information. We can prepare also tailored data about industries, legislation, taxes, incentives, industrial sites and local suppliers. We have very strong links with industry, state and local authorities. For foreigners, it's very, very hard if they go alone to find the best connections to make their business quicker and more effective. We can organize fact-finding missions, business and investment conferences and trade shows all over the world. We support
existing foreign investors in Slovenia. As we heard before, also in Slovenia, where the company came from abroad and established a Slovene legal person, has the same rate, the same rights and obligations as all other Slovene companies. So we support also these companies as normal Slovene companies. And normally we assured in the discussion with foreign investor full confidentiality. Please. I think this is the end. Here are some basic contact data. I stress again, if you have any problem, if you have any question, if you have any wish, if you have any desire, as we heard before, please come to us. Our doors are always open. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I will have to ask, sorry, yeah, I have to ask Mr. Scotia, allow us to have Mr. Guarani de Moraes talk before his intervention, because we are running late, and Mr. Guarani de Moraes from Apex had a previous engagement, so we have to move past him now, and then have the final talk about the investing in Slovenia. Now we'll be investing opportunities in Brazil. Mr. Guarani de Moraes is investment officer for Europe from Apex Brazil. Is based in Brussels. So, Mr. Moraes, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I hope you've been enjoying the insightful presentations we had so far. I must say, our previous speakers did an exceptional job covering almost every point I had planned to address. In fact, their presentations were so comprehensive that it gave me the opportunity to focus on condensing my own. So instead of 200 slides, I managed to distill it to around 20. So don't be afraid. I know I am the second last one between you, everyone here at this room, and the networking reception. So it's not always a great job, but I will do my best to be concise and ask your comprehension if any subjects are repeated. Before we begin, I would like to congratulate all participants from the Brazilian, Slovenian embassies and ministries, SLOBRAZ and Spirit, and the various companies in attendance today. I would also like to thank the organizers for extending the invitation to Apex Brazil. I invest in several markets, but I'm not as an investor here. I'm here as a representative of the investment department of Apex Brazil in our Europe office in Brussels. And my aim today is to provide a brief overview on why Brazil and to shed light on the role of Apex Brazil. Before we begin, so this is the roadmap for today's presentation, and I would like to start with why Brazil, complementing the rich inputs brought before by the other speakers. The first question we need to answer, and it has been answered a few times before, is why invest in Brazil? Numbers often speak for themselves. Like all the previous speakers mentioned, it's not just about scaling your business, but about available resources too. In addition to the information on this slide, I would like to add that Brazil has a remarkable production of biodiesel and a commitment to using renewable energies as source, but avoiding the food versus fuel controversy. Brazil is formulating strategies to maintain its economic and social stability, as well as to become, again, a leading source for climate action by preserving its natural resources. Key takeaways from this slide are the huge market potential in Brazil. You have heard that several times today. The increasing focus on education and innovation, and the growing importance on ESG considerations. These factors together present significant opportunities for businesses looking to make a positive impact in Brazil. Now let's have a look on the macroeconomic data. 2021, after an expansion of 4.6%, the Brazilian economy had already overcome the losses of 2020, courtesy of the pandemic. Last year, the economy grew 2.9%, surpassing market projections, greatly influenced by the behavior of commodity prices in the international market. According to the government's statistical agency, IBGE, Brazil's GDP increased by 1.9% in the first quarter of this year compared to the previous quarter. This information was reported last Thursday, June 1st. And with that, Brazil is one of the three most important economies that achieved the best results during this period, ranking only behind Poland and China. The same resilience was shown by Brazil in attracting foreign capital. In 2020, Brazil attracted $28 billion in FDI, becoming the 9th largest destination. 2021 raised up to 50 billion, which led the country to occupy the 6th position as a global destination for foreign direct investment. According to the OECD, in the first half of 2022, Brazil received 56 billion in FDI, more than the total received in the whole of 2021. Brazil has been in the top 10 of FDI inflows in the last 10 years. It is more than a proof of the confidence that foreign investors have in the country's economic fundamentals and in the attractiveness that Brazil has as a production platform for foreign companies. And how is the FDI flow between Brazil and the European Union? The European Union delegation to Brazil and Apex Brazil recently, in March 17th, launched the latest edition of the EU-Brazil investment map in Brasilia. The EU is the largest investor in Brazil, with almost half of the total stock of foreign direct investment, amounting to 263 billion euros. The investment map shows that between 2014 and 2020, Brazil was the top destination of EU FDI among large emerging economies, surpassing even China. I would especially like to highlight that the EU investments in Brazil renewable energy sector contribute to the global challenge of decarbonization and support Brazil's energy transition process. Summing up, this would be the key takeaways from this first part. Access to natural resources, market access, access to strategic assets, and efficiency gains. Now, what to expect in 2023 when it comes up to the political macroeconomic situation? Brazil has a well-established track record of continuously enhancing its business environment, and the new government is focused to carry forward this legacy. Two significant reforms are being implemented this year that will have far-reaching implications for the economy. The first one is the fiscal anchor, aimed at guaranteeing sustainable investment in the crucial sectors of education and health. The second reform, which has long been awaited, is the implementation of a value-added tax, which will replace the existing, let's be honest, very complex tax structure. But as Mr. Artich mentioned from SLOBRAZ, your competitors, local as well as the foreign ones, face the same problem, and all of them are doing business there. Furthermore, Brazil is making efforts in the infrastructure sector to create solid opportunities for the green recovery. Government is committed to promoting projects that will prioritize especially the well-being of its citizens and the prosperity for the country as a whole. But who can support you to find or identify investment possibilities in Brazil? Closely with the Brazilian Embassy in Slovenia, the Slovenian Embassy in Brazil, SLOBRAZ, Spirit, and all the other partners present today. We, from Apex Brazil, the Brazilian Agency for Foreign Investment Attraction and Exports Promotion. There's no big secret about what we do. We work to attract FDI by supporting foreign investors and companies from abroad, searching for opportunities or already advanced in their process of establishing a presence in Brazil, as well as foreign companies searching for Brazilian companies for technological partnerships. Furthermore, we promote Brazilian exports and we help Brazilian companies to establish themselves abroad. We have been around for more than 25 years, and we have been present in Europe since 2006, and since 2010 we have an office in Brussels, working very closely with our embassies and reaffirming the commitment to increase trade relations between Brazil and other European countries. How can we help you? by providing proactive support, establishing your presence in the Brazilian market, as well as finding technological partners. Our support covers various sectors. You can see a few of them and programs with a wide range of investment opportunities in a broad spectrum of sectors. Hottest sectors at the moment are hydrogen, fertilizers, social infrastructure, renewables, among others. And through which tools can we support you? These are the basic tools. I won't read them all. I know we're short in time, that we can provide or help you provide for a better understanding of the Brazilian market. We're constantly working to identify and reach Brazilian companies that might match with you, so we can help potential investors who are looking for opportunities for partnerships, joint ventures, or other type of collaboration with Brazilian companies. Finally, I would like to invite you to visit our website, Invest in Brazil, where you can find important information and contacts that might be valuable to gain an overview about the market. It is my sincere wish that this short presentation has been of value for you. If you need any further information, please feel free to contact me directly or via our colleagues in the Embassy of Brazil in Slovenia. Thank you for your attention.
We will touch upon the key legal developments that I consider that you as an investor or your members, if you're an organization or your partners, need to know today. So we will not discuss all the details, but I would just like to point out some relevant developments that are taking place nowadays. So 3 times. Oh, okay. So yes, as the first, some extra data. There's, according to OECD data, there's 34% of contribution of foreign direct investments, directly or indirectly, to the Slovenian GDP. So there's room for improvement. And as it appears, we are finally moving into the right direction with the legislation that governs the relevant incentives. So what we will look at today is the legal aspect of the investment incentives, the developments, the FDI screening procedure, that's quite a new institute in Slovenian legislation. And finally, I will give you some hints on, or tools on how you can actually do it. So why I put 3 amendments of the latest Investment Promotion Act on the slide is because I want to show you the trend of my thought that we are finally moving to the right direction. So lately, the amendments went into the direction of focusing on the green and digital solutions. And finally, we are transitioning from capital-intensive investments. So there are 3 relevant amendments. First, I would call it the green amendment, as you probably can guess why. The second, the newest one already enforced, the R&D amendment, and the latest one that is still in the legislative procedure is the FDI screening amendment. So as for the first one, as mentioned, the green is now in focus, but what is really important is that it eliminates the job creation condition for various investment types. So you don't have to create jobs with people you nowadays cannot employ because they are not available on the market. So finally, this is not anymore a barrier for various investments in terms of opting for an incentive. The second one, that's I think the most important one, the R&D amendment. I heard today that Brazil excels in engineering, and I also heard Mr. Mauric, I don't know if he's here still, that there's an intention to bring technology to Slovenia. Well, I hope this new dimension of the incentives will help, because now there with the latest amendment, we added a new category specifically related to R&D and innovation that offers some more lenient conditions in comparison to, let's say, traditional investment. And also what is important, up to now, mostly you could only get incentive for investment into tangible and intangible assets. But now, with the incentives, you can also finance research, professionals, labor that's needed for that, so not only assets. And finally, the FDI screening amendment that will come into force shortly, hopefully, will systemically adopt the FDI screening procedure, which will bring some certainty, because up to now, this procedure has been governed by some urgent law adopted during COVID. So let's move on. How it works, I will not go into detail because Mr. Stamatowski before me already explained some aspects. But what is relevant, there are two types of procedures. Thresholds vary depending on the investment. So when you start considering applying for an incentive, you should consult with a lawyer to define what type of investment it is under the law. So, and depending on that, there are two possibilities. For some higher thresholds, so for investment that significantly contributes to the Slovenian economy, there is a possibility to directly apply with the ministry. Whereas for other investments, it's subject to availability of public tenders. I'm not sure if any is available right now. Maybe just ask Mr. Zoran about that. At the moment, no, right. But those are managed by Spirit Slovenia. About the FDI screening, it's wholly bureaucracy, right? Well, don't worry, it's not that complex as it seems. But the point of this slide is that many investments can fall under the obligatory FDI screening procedure. And you should really consult with someone to guide you through that in order to avoid any delays further on the transaction or even invalidation of the transaction post-signing already. But don't worry, in most cases, despite of what is written here, you will get a green light decision in like 14 days that you can proceed and that no further assessment is necessary. So how to actually enter the Slovenian market? We have 5 minutes, so I just wanted to put some key points on the slides. I suggest if you want to dig deeper into the details to get the first insight of how to do it actually, send us an email to office@skozar.com and we will send you for free, of course, an introductory legal guide to doing business in Slovenia that covers including the topics that are listed here on the slide. So thank you again for your attention. And if you have any questions, please feel free to approach afterwards in the networking session, or there are my contacts. Also, champions welcome. Thank you.
So thank you very much for your attention. Our idea was to give you an overview of the possibilities of doing business with Brazil, Slovenia and Brazil. I would say that before I invite you to our networking reception, I would like to tell you that the organizers of this Slovenian Brazilian Business Forum, to say the Brazilian Embassy in Ljubljani, the Slovenian Embassy in Brasilia, Apex Brazil, Spirit Slovenia, and SLOBRAZ. Our business is to help you guys do business. So please do contact any of us, any of these 5 institutions, whenever you feel that you need some kind of information, advice, or help, because we are here for you. And our joint commitment is to enhance the business relations between the 2 countries. And even like that, we can show figures even more interesting and important than the ones that we have here. And I still think that we really have very important figures in what really relates to trade or investment. Thank you again very much for your attention, and I do invite you to our business networking reception. Thank you very much. Hvala.